Lots that we could talk about today. Always a good time hanging out with you guys on a Thursday night. So that's what we are going to do. Hang out with my friends, maybe have a drink or two, and talk some Buffalo Bills football. It is officially 9:30 on the East Coast, so I appreciate you guys joining me. Let's do this for real, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Believers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome as we talk trades, as we talk Buffalo Bills, as we talk, and we are live. Welcome to this live edition of Believers Talk. Again, guys, if you're new to this channel, my name's Joe. I appreciate you guys stopping by, spending some of your Thursday evening with me. Again, we'll talk about Buffalo Bills. We'll talk about what's going on around the NFL. We'll talk about some positive news. Last week's live stream, a little bit more on the negative side. I'm not about that life. We're not going to do that 2 weeks in a row. We're going to have some fun here on this Thursday night. So again, guys, thank you guys for joining. Make sure you hit that like button as you're entering, as you're getting ready. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns possibly having traded David Njoku. We're going to talk about the San Francisco 49ers possibly having to trade Raheem Mostert. We're going to talk about these guys, and we're going to talk about what they could add to the Buffalo Bills. Now, I know when it comes to Raheem Mostert, you just ask yourself, at a running back, do we need someone at that running back position? Look at who we drafted. Look at the backfield. Look at the depth. But is it ever a bad idea to add playmakers if you can, is the question, right? Is it ever a bad idea to add playmakers? Hey, Kenneth, how you doing? Good to see you in here. Not much going on again this Thursday night. Just trying to hang out with my guys, you know what I'm saying? Have a good time during this quarantine life. That doesn't mean we can't still have a good time. We can't still talk Buffalo Bills football. So I know, like I said, I know, hey, Anthony, how you doing? Hey, HBK, Heartbreak Kid, you stole the name, man. Good for you. Good for you. HBK is coming back. But anyway, I know that the Buffalo Bills, you look at the running back room, you say, do they need a Raheem Mostert? But man, look what he did for the 49ers last season. Helping them go to the Super Bowl. Had a great playoff run during that Super Bowl. He was part of a three-headed monster. Can the Buffalo Bills create a three-headed monster? Again, I never think it's a bad idea to add depth, to add talent, to add playmakers to your team. You know, you take a look at some of these Super Bowl teams of the past, and you take a look at the running game, and you say they had two, maybe some of them even three running backs in the on the team that could really make a difference. And maybe that's what we get with Raheem Mostert. Maybe a trade that includes T.J. Yeldon, something like that. So you're clearing room in that running back room. Maybe even have more chance for like a Christian Wade to make an appearance in that running back room. We'll see what happened. James Nee made it on time for James. Glad to see you in here, James. Always happy to have you on board. Again, guys, as you're joining, as you're coming in, make sure you hit that like button to let others know we're here. Share this video. In fact, I need to share this video. I never share these things anymore. I used to share with my friends over on the Twitter page. If you're not following me on Twitter, guys, go over to Twitter, Believers Talk. Follow me there. Really enjoy hanging out with all you guys on here. I enjoy posting some things on Twitter, and we have a good time. I hope you guys had a great holiday. July 4th just ended, so I hope you guys had a great weekend last weekend. I hope you guys were safe and did your thing. You know, I hope you guys did your thing and had a fun time. But now I don't know about you guys. I'm back to work, and it's not always easy. Hasn't always been easy, has not always been fun, but we do what we do. You know, you do what you do, and then you just hope for Thursday so I can hang out with you guys. Guys, as you know, I can't type on Twitter and talk at the same time, so I'm going to be typing, sharing this over on Twitter real quick, so if you guys are wondering what I'm doing, some guys are just coming in here. We're going to post this on Twitter, let people know that we're here. And again, you guys share it too, and hit that thumbs up button, like this video. We are going to talk about Raheem Mostert here in a minute. We are going to talk about David Njoku. We're going to look at their stats. We're going to see what they could add to this Buffalo Bills team. What do they add to this roster? Again, never a bad idea to add playmakers. So join me as we discuss the possibilities. I don't know how to spell it either, guys. About hashtags work. Buffalo Bills trading for either Raheem Mostert or David Njoku. I'll get to your comments in a second if they're streaming in here, guys. Again, as you guys are entering, again, 9:35 on the East Coast every Thursday night during the off season, 9:30 p.m. You know I'm live right here on Believers Talk during the regular season. We go live during halftime of Thursday night football, so you want to check that out. Normally give you my preview for the week coming up, so make sure you guys check that out as well. Whenever the season comes, hopefully the season does not disappoint, and we're able to go, right? We're able to get started from the beginning. All right, so there we go. I just shared that. Let me see if it shows up on my page. I don't know how this stuff works. How do these kids do it? I just don't understand. All right, so we're back. All right, guys, how we doing? Ken says, I would be more interested in a tight end. I don't think we have a solid number one guy in that position. And again, I think that David Njoku is the more realistic choice of these two guys. So that's where we could start. We could start with David Njoku, right? Tight end. Currently of the Cleveland Browns, 6'4", 246 pounds, was drafted by the Cleveland Browns in 2017 in the first round, 29th pick overall. Spent most of last season injured, unfortunately for him. But let's go over some of his stats. And you know what, Kenneth, you're right. We don't really have, we're hoping that Dawson Knox can be that number one tight end, right? We're hoping that that's where he can be. We think that he has potential to be that guy. But even if Dawson Knox is that guy, let's say Dawson Knox is that number one, who's our number two? Hey, Nate, how you doing? Amy, glad that you're in here. Thanks for joining me. Josh Clark. Mostert would be add some serious speed to our backfield. We would have an absolute terrifying running attack, says Josh Clark. Absolutely. And again, like I said, always want to add playmakers. But let's talk about David Njoku first, right? Again, like Kenneth said, we really don't have a number one tight end. We hope and we wish that Dawson Knox is the number one guy, right? That Dawson Knox can take a step further. We know that he came from Ole Miss, where they didn't use their tight ends all that much, right? So learning a new system under Brian Daboll's second year, we're all hoping that he steps into his own, and can become a good number one target at the tight end position. But then who's behind him? Even if he does become that number one, which he isn't right now, but even if he becomes that number one, who's behind him? Tyler Kroft? Tyler Kroft, the guy who for back-to-back seasons has had foot issues. You don't want that on your team. If you can maybe trade that, package that with the Cleveland Browns, because the Cleveland Browns don't really need a great tight end. They went out and they traded for a tight end, and it was Hooper, right, earlier this offseason. So they don't really need a tight end. That's one of the reasons why David Njoku wants out. He wants out because he sees what's going on. Now, the Cleveland Browns normally run a two tight end set, but they have two tight ends now. Without David Njoku, they still have two solid tight ends. And you look at what's going on in Cleveland. Hey, Buffalo Bills fan, glad that you're with us. Anthony Smila, Josh Allen said Dawson Knox will easily be a top 10 tight end in the league this year. I hope so. I hope you're right. But who's the number two tight end? What's wrong with having two top 10 tight ends, right? I've always said this. I believe the New England Patriots had the best offense, not when they had Terrell Owens on their team, but when they had Aaron Hernandez and Gronk on the same team. That team was almost impossible to stop. They did so much with that offense. It was insane. So many different packages you can run from a two tight end set. It was insane. And so if you add a two tight end set with speed like Stephon Diggs, with speed like John Brown, with a guy in the slot like a Cole Beasley, I think it's just a dynamic offense at its finest. James Snee says Bills went after Olsen, so maybe still looking. Absolutely. Now, obviously, Olsen has the Carolina Panthers ties, which everyone knows the Bills' current GM loves when they play for the Panthers and they become available, so we'll see what happens. Watching you as I'm finishing my walk around the neighborhood. Hey, enjoy your walk. I don't know about where you're at, but here it's a beautiful night, so enjoy your walk. Enjoy some fresh air, right? It's so nice these days to get some fresh air. It feels like sometimes we're stuck, cooped up inside. It's nice to get out a little bit and enjoy everything there. Josh Clark, I would love to unload Kroft and maybe a fourth for Njoku. He and Knox are matchup nightmares. I would even go a step further. If we can get rid of Kroft and a third, like I'm willing to do that. I am willing to go that far. That's a pretty good trade for the Cleveland Browns to get Njoku. I think that would be a great trade for the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to try to tune in next Thursday. I'll be on vacation. Enjoy your vacation. But you know a great way to enjoy your vacation? Hanging out with us on Believers Talk. Where are you going? Let us know in the comment section where you're going. Aaron Hernandez, we don't talk about him since Buffalo Bills fans. So listen, I'm talking football. I'm talking football. He got his own Netflix documentary, so I'm just talking football. It's not, it's not like he's like a name that we don't mention. You know, he still existed. He still happened, and he was a nightmare for people to cover. That's all I'm saying. Might be the same situation for Njoku on the Bills. Western New York says, Amy, that's where she is right now. That's where she's taking a walk. Hopefully that's not where you're vacationing at too. I just hope we get football, says Jack Patrick. I absolutely agree with that, right? That's like step number one. Let's just get football. I'm traveling to the Thousand Islands in upstate New York. I love it up there, so you enjoy yourself. But yes, amen, Jack. So let's go over some David Njoku stats. Again, first-round draft pick by the Cleveland Browns in the 2017 NFL Draft. His rookie season, he starts 5 games, plays in all 16. He has 32 receptions for 386 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's that next season, his sophomore season. And guys, if Dawson Knox can increase his production the way Njoku increased his from first season to second, we're going to have a good, solid top 10 tight end in Dawson Knox. But second season, he played in 16 games, started in 14 of those games, caught 56 passes for 639 yards, and again, 4 touchdowns. Last year, only played in the 4 games before he suffers an injury, takes him out for the season, and so we'll see what the Cleveland Browns decide to do here. Let's see what I have always liked Njoku. He was good in my Browns franchise one Madden year. Hey, we have no issues with the Browns, right? I'll happily trade with The Browns, I have no issues other than, you know, when we play them, I want them to lose. When they potentially are getting an AFC wildcard spot and we're not, which hasn't happened in a long time, you know, I want them to lose. But listen, the Browns, the fans of Cleveland, they're kind of like the same as Buffalo, right? Blue collar type fans, really supportive. You gotta love the dog pound, right? They have a great fan base there. Nothing compared to Bills Mafia, but who does? So I do like these Cleveland Browns players. Unfortunately, you're seeing things unfold there with Odell, Jarvis Landry, Baker Mayfield. Maybe just a few too many personalities to make it work. You know, hopefully they make it work somehow. You know, hopefully for them, hopefully for Browns fans, they make it work and they can come together because they have on paper they have a talented roster, but they just didn't get it together last season. You saw Baker decline a little bit. Hopefully that offensive line helps them out if you are a Cleveland Browns fan. But for right now, man, they could use some extra capital, right? Get maybe some extra draft picks to help with that offensive line. And what better way to do it than trading this stud tight end, David Njoku? He wants out. Let him out. I've always been the type of guy, and this is true about our Buffalo Bills. If a guy wants out, get what you can for him. Right? And I'll say that, and I've said that on this channel, I'll say that about someone like a superstar like Jack Eichel going to another sport. If he wants out, then let him go. You obviously want to get what you can for him, right? You want the best deal possible, but let him go. If he's not committed 100% to what you're doing, then why would you keep him on your team, right? At that point, you have to worry about him being a cancer on the team more than you do him helping the cause. So if he wants out, do what you can to get him out. Get him out. You want players on your team that want to play for you. You want players on your team that want to play for you every single week, practice after practice, game after game. No matter what happens, you know you can trust them. Again, comments flying, so let me get back to you. Florida's has Baldwin House says, Elliot, hey, maybe go to one of those bars, start singing a little bit, go get on stage. They probably have AC, but man, I can't imagine how hot it is on stage right now, so best of luck there. People compare the Black Hole to Bills Mafia, but at least we don't fight other teams' fans, except for that one time. I've seen some YouTube videos, not sure about that. Jack is just wasting his career here. Unfortunately, we have to agree at this point, right? We have to agree. And I've been on this channel plenty of times, and I'll say it until my face turns blue or until I'm proven wrong. As long as our owner is our president, and this goes for any sport, this goes for any gender, this goes for anything. As long as your owner is the team president, it's not going to lead to good things. It's just not. It's just a mess waiting to happen, and that's what we have in Buffalo. I don't see it changing anytime soon. If we get Njoku, our offense is going to be unstoppable, says Sonny. And listen, there are ways to get Njoku on this team. Absolutely. And out of these two names, obviously, Njoku's the one that kind of perks Bills fans' interest a little bit more, right? Now, I would love to get rid of some of these tight ends. Again, we talked about getting rid of Croft, right? What would it take? Add Croft to the mix. Add Croft to the mix, maybe give up a third or a fourth for Croft. Croft might not even make the Cleveland Browns team, but at least they still get that pick in there as well. Do I think the NFL expands to a 60-man roster due to the COVID-19? Ask Elliot. I believe that they'll expand, maybe not 60s. I believe they'll kind of come to a negotiation, make it like 58, something like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do expand. You want to see, and a lot of it depends on how baseball does, right? You know, I heard talk on the radio. You know, the NFL is really looking at baseball as their example of what might happen, because hockey and basketball and soccer, like all these things are coming back. They're not traveling. They're in that bubble. So they're not really a good example of what the NFL might go through, where baseball is traveling from stadium to stadium. So you get a better feel for what might happen. Now, luckily for football compared to baseball, we had a little bit more time, right? We still have a little bit more time to see how we can react, right? Unfortunately, baseball is going to be the example. Football is going to be able to read and react from what they do and move forward with what the best option is with the knowledge that they have. Right now we have no knowledge when it comes to traveling during this COVID season, or pandemic I should say, but after baseball does it, then the NFL will have some knowledge and be able to incorporate that in their game plan. But I would not be surprised to see them roster size bump up a little bit as they go on. Buffalo Bills, I wish Clowney wasn't asking for so much money. These selfish players asking for a bunch of money, you know, getting what, $500 million. Who does that? That's crazy. $507 million, that's $500 million with a B dollars. That's insane. That's an insane amount of money. Who can imagine having that much money? His grandkids are going to be just fine. So way to go, Patrick Mahomes. Way to be able to throw that no-look pass and work it to your advantage. Listen, we're going to see a lot of kids in about 10 years throwing a lot of no-look passes, and we're going to see how ugly it actually is, right? Patrick Mahomes is starting a dangerous trend, but it's a profitable trend. Maybe it will work for some other players as well. Elliot comes in with the money. Money. All right, I'd love to have Clowney, absolutely. Would love to have Clowney, but we definitely can't afford that price tag. We're already talking about making some unfortunate cuts at some point in this season and maybe not being able to re-sign some of these guys that we want to be able to re-sign. I was hoping we would have traded for another running back, but we end up drafting Zach Moss. I think him and Devin are going to be two beasts for a 1-2 punch. But again, you look at, you know, Sonny says we have a great 1-2 punch, and we do, but you look at the San Francisco 49ers as kind of the mold, right? Now, of course, Mostert could be asking for this trade because he doesn't want to play second or third fiddle. He wants to be the premier back. You know, he's proven in his career that he can have pretty good numbers, pretty solid numbers in 2019. Let's go over his numbers real quick. Right now, he's had a 5-year career. In 2015, he came into the league out of Purdue. He played for 3 teams in 2015, Cleveland, Miami, and Baltimore, then 2 teams in 2016, Chicago, before finding a permanent home in San Fran. This past season was the first year he played in all 19 games. In 19 games, he ran the ball 137 times for 772 yards, found the end zone 8 times. Now again, this is the majority of his career so far. 2015, he did not play a single game. 2016, he played in 3 games, only had 1 rush for 6 yards. 2017, he played in 11 games, only had 6 rushes for 30 yards. 2018, 34 rushes for 261. And then this past season, 137 for 772. So he's looking for his load to increase. He wants to prove that he can be maybe not a premier back, but a good number 2 option. And when you look at his playoff numbers from last season, he absolutely proved that he can be. So again, we'll see that. Enough talk. Use the weapons we have. Smash teams by 3 touchdowns per game. No more prevent. Defense went up. Jack, we will never, as Bills fans, we got to get used to the fact that we will never see that. Right? We'll never see that in our lifetime, right? We'll never see a team, you know, unless you were alive in the early 90s, which we were, some of us were. I think, Jack, you were too. It's just going to be a long time for see it. You know, the Buffalo Bills, the way, and Coach McDermott, the way they do this is they grind out wins, right? They grind out wins. Listen, last offseason, after the 2018 season, Sean McDermott said, man, if we could score 21 points a game. In today's NFL, 21 points a game is not all that much. It's not all that much. If you score an average of 21 points a game, sure, maybe you make the playoffs. Man, you got to be able to score at a high clip in the NFL these days. I mean, look what Kansas City did. Look what Kansas City did against the Houston Texans in the playoffs. Just absolutely insane. They scored, what, 42 points and a half? That's absolutely insane. I would love to see us score 42 points in like 2 games average all the time, but we just don't do it, which would be 21 points a game, by the way. Of all our Bills, I think our boy Josh Allen will turn some heads. Mainstream media may bash him. He will prove them all wrong this season. I am stoked to see Diggs catch those balls. Yes, I don't know how stoked Diggs is for the season to start. We did hear that he is a little concerned, as all NFL and all athletes should be, right? You don't know what you're coming back to, and that's understandable to be a little concerned, but he's excited to play ball. You can see it. He says he's been practicing, he's been keeping up, but man, we love to see that. I just read that. So we'll see. And then Elliot, I don't know what Elliot's doing. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing with autocorrect? It wasn't autocorrect. You did that on purpose. I'm going to breathe and take a drink. All right. All right. So if you look at these two guys, again, David Njoku is the one guy that sticks out and you say, man, would love that. But what is a realistic trade to the Cleveland Browns? Let me know in the comment section. If you were the GM, you're Brandon Beane, what are you offering for David Njoku? Again, remember, they don't need tight ends, okay? They don't need tight ends. In fact, we don't even need to put Tyler Kroft in there, right? What do the Cleveland Browns need? Cleveland Browns could use some offensive line help. Well, we got some depth there. We could use that. They could use some draft picks. Well, we can do that, right? Maybe not 2021, because remember, we already gave up 1 draft pick in the 2021 NFL draft for Stephon Diggs. But I think we could do that. We could definitely maybe throw in a 2022 third-round pick. I just got some tea, Amy. It's nothing bad. Diggs-Allen connection going to be awesome. I hope everyone's right. I really do. Everyone's so excited for Josh Allen, and I am too. And I'm not trying to downgrade my expectations for Josh Allen this year, but I think a mediocre jump, kind of like the jump he had this past season, would be wonderful. And we'll see what happens with everything that's going on without the practices, without the mini camps, all that. I think it's going to take effect on a lot of these offenses, and so we might not see the numbers we want to see early on. But I'm excited to see what Josh Allen can do. There's always a surprise cut. I could see us adding a linebacker or another defensive back because McDermott. Diggs will open up the game for JB, maybe JA, but also our boy Cole. Listen, I love Cole. Oh, John Brown. I love Cole Beasley. I think he's so underrated. It's insane. I think that his career numbers from last year prove what he could be to a team. I think that once you're inside the 10-yard line, he minus Dawson Knox, he's probably our best option inside the 10 to get you into that end zone. I just remember watching some of those plays against the Redskins, against the Dolphins. Some of those plays where he just made it look easy and he's just open. Best bees. So anyway, Elliot's using his phone. He doesn't know what button's what, so that's great. But Elliot, I appreciate you being here on Billievers Talk. Always good to have you on board. But yeah, I personally love Cole Beasley. I think that he was a great acquisition 2 years ago. I love John Brown, don't get me wrong. But Stephon Diggs, adding that to the mix, probably the best 3 wide receivers the Buffalo Bills might have ever had. I mean, I've thought long and hard about the best 3 wide receiver, best 1-2-3 punch for the Buffalo Bills. You had great 1-2 punches, talking about Eric Moulds and Peerless Price, talking about Andre Reed, Don Beebe, and that's where you have to go back to James Lofton, Andre Reed, Don Beebe, as possibly the only threesome, the only trio that could match up with this trio as far as in Buffalo Bills history. If I was Brandon Beane, would you have signed Cam before he signed with New England? Asked Sonny. No, I've been on this channel before saying I would have never signed Cam Newton, and here's why. Here's 100% why. First of all, the diva effect, right? I just don't know what he brings to the locker room, and I don't know if I can trust that in the locker room with this type of culture, right? There's definitely a certain type of culture. Now, some would argue he was in Carolina with Coach McDermott, so when you talk about culture, he obviously knows the culture that Coach McDermott's trying to send, because that's probably the same culture, close to the same culture that Ron Rivera wanted, right? So we'll see what happens there. I just think about Cam on the podium a lot, and there were a lot of things that he said that always rubbed me the wrong way. We're talking about routes. It's funny hearing a woman talk about routes, if some people remember that comment. Just some of those comments just rub me the wrong way. Hit that like button, Amy says. Absolutely, I would appreciate that, guys. Hit that thumbs up button. Always appreciate hanging out with you guys on a Thursday night. Another thing would be, thanks, Joe, and go Bills. Absolutely. Another thing would have been his the Josh Allen effect, right? As far as Josh Allen looking over his shoulder and saying, hey, am I the starter? Because again, here in Buffalo, if you're a Bills fan or if Coach McDermott will line up Josh Allen, we could easily say, hey, you're the starter, Josh. You're still a starter. Don't think anything. But media is going to start talking, right? Look at the media now. Stidham is nobody. Who was Stidham? All of a sudden, right? Stidham doesn't have a chance to be a starter now. Within circles in New England, they're saying, wait a second, Stidham could still be our guy. But that same thing might have happened here with Josh Allen. And then you talk about QB controversy. There is no QB controversy. And the third reason, good night, Elliot. Good to see you, man. And the third reason is because Cam Newton deserves to have a shot at becoming a starter to start the season. Cam Newton's a good quarterback. He doesn't deserve to be a backup. He deserves to have a chance to start. He deserves to prove himself. 2015 league MVP, right? 2018 he was on top of the world. He had a great completion percentage. He was doing really good. But again, I just think he deserves that chance to start. And so he gets a chance in New England. He has no match for the Buffalo Bills defense, so I'm not worried about that. But those were three main reasons why I would not want Cam Newton on this team. But not a Buffalo guy. I'm planning to go to the Bills-Niners game in San Fran, but this COVID thing, I just don't know. And Sunny in California, I know that they're getting hit hard as well. So whatever you decide to do, and to all of you, whatever you decide to do, just be safe out there, man. Just be safe, be smart. Remember, I'm not even getting into it. Forget that. We're here to talk about Buffalo Bills. He's being overrated, in my opinion, talking about Cam Newton. Well, again, and that happens a lot. We talked about this a little bit last week, too. Remember when Ed Oliver got into trouble? And like it was big news for like a couple days, like huge news, right? We all overreacted, including myself, including on this channel. We overreacted because what else was there to react to? Nothing, right? You sit here, you watch sports. Sports really aren't happening right now, right? You got UFC back, you got MLS back. All the major sports are talking about coming back, but they're not back yet. So what are we doing when we hear news? We're overreacting. Boom, we're going to it. Wow, look what's going on. Wow, look at this guy. Wow, look at this news. So, of course, Cam Newton, big name. New England Patriots just lost a big name in Tom Brady. You fill that role with Cam Newton. I don't think it's going to work. And I've been on this channel to explain why I don't think it's going to work. But you're going to have the media heads flocking to it like the pigeons in Finding Nemo, right? Mine, because they want the story. They want the story. They want to have their take heard, right? We all do it. We all do it. We want our opinion heard because we feel like our opinion is the most important one in the world. And sometimes you just got to say, you know what? It's not. It's not. So what's Tony saying? If New England would have signed Nate Peterman, the media would have said it was genius and Buffalo didn't give him a chance. That's funny and probably, and as people say, probably true. So let's talk about, and again, Elliot, see you later. Again, thank you for joining me. So let's talk about David Njoku. Again, I asked you guys, if you were Brandon Beane, what would you trade for David Njoku? Again, we can't give up a 2021 fourth because we already gave that up in the Stephon Diggs trade, right? So if you're thinking a fourth round pick will get the job done, maybe you would have been right if we had a fourth round pick. I don't like the idea of giving up a third round pick for David Njoku, not because he's not worth it, but because then you don't have a third or fourth round pick in this upcoming draft. So then you look at the 2022 NFL draft. Are you willing to give up some draft capital that far away for a tight end coming off injury? I just don't know if you're willing to do that. Are you willing to give up draft capital? Listen, draft capital is huge. I love draft capital. I think it's a big part of the game, and we've seen Brandon Beane use that leverage, use it to his advantage. But I just don't know if I'd give up draft capital from that far away for David Njoku. So now you're talking about players, right? You're talking about players, and listen, again, Cleveland doesn't need a tight end, so you can't just go tight end for tight end. If you give up a 6th or 7th, Amy, I watched the video on Cam Newton throwing to N'Keal Harry today. He looked slow, looked like throwing to my kids. Hey, I hope that's right. If I was 6'5", 260, if I grew a few inches and put on some bulk, right? 6th or 7th wouldn't get it done. If you're talking about a 6th or 7th round pick, Amy, you definitely have to throw in a player of something there. I don't know what you want to do with that, but listen, you look at the tight end room and you say we have a big tight end room, and we do. So just adding a tight end wouldn't make sense. But at the same time, I don't know if the Cleveland Browns need a tight end right now, and that's why Njoku wants out, because the roster in the tight end room is kind of getting bulky, right? Kind of getting filled up. So he wants to check out maybe some greener pastures. So let's look at this tight end room right now for the Buffalo Bills. Talking about Nate Becker, Jason Kroom, Dawson Knox, Tyler Kroft, Lee Smith, Tommy Sweeney. All in that room, so now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tight ends already. Now listen, we know Nate Becker probably not making this team, right? We know Tommy Sweeney's going to have to work hard. I would love to see him make this team. Lee Smith somehow is going to end up on this team, and we can't give him up because then we have to give up like 2 first-round picks for Cleveland. They even want him. So somehow he's going to make this team for no reason other than to get penalties. I really don't know why he's still here. Jason Kroom has some work to do, but we know that the coaching staff is impressed with Jason Kroom, and unfortunately with him being hurt last season, you didn't get to see that progression. So we know that they like Jason Kroom. James Snee, when Njoku come here, would he get the touches he wants? Njoku would automatically be, like, let's say Njoku comes here, he's automatically your number 2 tight end, right? At least your number 2 tight end, potentially still your number 1. I think he does get those touches. I mean, you look at a place like Baltimore, right? They have a bunch of tight ends. I think they're doing a great job complementing Lamar Jackson's game. Now, is Josh Allen the type of player to throw to the tight ends? I don't know. We saw at times he threw Dawson Knox last season, but Dawson Knox was the only guy he really threw to consistently at the tight end position. So how does a 2 tight end set fit Brian Daboll's type of offense? These are all things you have to ask about. Buffalo Bills front office staff has to ask themselves, right? Is this the type of system Brian Daboll wants to run? I would think so. I would absolutely think so. I think that Brian Daboll has had a history in Alabama working with a 2 tight end set and working with a bigger offense, and it really would help out the run game. You bring in 2 tight ends, maybe they can block better for you. It really does open up that playbook a little bit. Now you do lose something as far as speed at the wide receiver position, but you don't really need a 4th wide receiver out there if you have Stephon Diggs already burning people downfield. Remember, we can line Dawson Knox up as a wide receiver. You can line Njoku up as a wide receiver. So those are some of the elements that bringing in an Njoku would bring to this offense that would really, really cement this offense as one of the top 5 offenses in the NFL, in my opinion, or at least could be, if our quarterback Josh Allen could do what he needs to do. If we give up on Lee Smith, there would be no one to take that 10-yard penalty. Yeah, it would be tough to get rid of Lee Smith, and actually think you can get something for him. We'll see what happens there. Once Knox works on his drops, he's going to be a huge asset to our team. I think Knox proved last season he's a huge asset to the team. Remember, we don't win that Cincinnati game if it's not for Dawson Knox. Now, Amy, you're absolutely right. The drops are a concern, but he was an asset to our team. Now, was he a 3rd round asset? We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see if he's worth that 3rd round pick that we used on him. But we saw flashes last year, and if he continues with those, I think we're in good shape. I think we're in good shape for the future of the tight end position. But again, as I start off this stream saying, it's never a bad idea to add playmakers to your team if you can, right? If you can. And here's 2 opportunities to add playmakers. Do they want to come here? That's a question up to them and the team that they currently play for. What do we want to give up? Well, that's something we have to ask ourselves. And is what we're willing to give up worthy of actually getting these guys, right? We all know at least most of us know by now, I am a firm believer in this. Brandon Beane has done a great job setting a price tag every time. Every time it's been a player, it's been a draft pick, whatever it's been, you see Brandon Beane's been a contract extension. You see Brandon Beane set his price and say, I'm not going above that. So many times you see a GM set a price and then get talked to a little bit of a higher price, right? Think about the Greg Norman deal up in Washington, or any deal up in Washington for that matter. But Brandon Beane does a great job. He says, this is your price. This is what I'm willing to pay you. This is what I'm willing to trade for. This is what I'm willing to give you. If they don't like it, okay, then mind. Click. We're fine. It's good. We don't need it. And I love that about Brandon Beane. I love that. Njoku and Knox, unstoppable offense, says Calvin. Absolutely. I think they would just be beasts. They would absolutely add a 1-2 punch. You talk about 1-2 punch in the backfield. You talk about 1-2 punch at the tight end position. That would really make teams have to worry. Really make teams have to worry how to defend the Buffalo Bills. Talking about getting beat on the outside, talking about getting beat up the middle, and then talking about getting beat in the running game with some swing passes, with some screen passes. We could beat you at all three levels, right? And I think that is a great thing if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. And you talk about possibly getting more size, right? More size for that red zone. David Njoku's 6'4". You know, he's not Dawson Knox size, but man, he's a tall boy. Taller than most of the wide receivers we got on this team, right? Most of the wide receivers we got on this team are 6'2" and smaller. So, yeah, talk about adding size in the red zone, right? I know we added 2 wide receivers in the draft that added size as well. But you talk about adding size in the red zone. Talk about adding a bigger 2 tight end set packages for those run games. You want to talk about having a good 1-2 punch. You want to talk about running the ball in December. You need to get tough. You need to get physical. And so how does David Njoku add to that? What does David Njoku give you as a blocking tight end? What does David Njoku give you? And again, you still have your wide receivers on the outside. So I think David Njoku is definitely an appealing trade prospect. Training camp starts July 28th for most teams. Correct, Amy. For most teams, that is correct. Terry said I agree with the approach. Make an offer and walk. Do the same in Tampa. With Tampa, see if they part with Howard. Right? Tampa got a new tight end, Gronk, so Howard might be available as well. So you definitely see some tight ends available. And then you still have to look at Raheem Mostert and say, again, do you want to just make the phone call? Make the phone call and say, friend, what do you want from Mostert, right? You know that the San Francisco 49ers already got rid of one of the running backs this offseason, right? They already got rid of, I'm going to find it here in a second. I know they did. Someone's going to beat me to it. But I know that the San Francisco 49ers already got rid of one of the running backs from last season. Coleman, right? So yeah, so I know they already did. So maybe they'll ask for a little bit more from getting rid of this running back. But man, you do have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it worth it to pick up again a running back who's still young? Who has continued to improve year after year, get more carries, and that sort of thing. So we'll see what happens. But those would be some of the questions you have to ask yourself when it comes to trading for one of these guys. In my opinion, I don't think the Buffalo Bills are going to trade for him. Either one of them. But also, in my opinion, I'm fixing that camera here. Rich G with the $5 donation. What's up, Joe? What's up, Rich? Glad that you made it. What's up, Bills Mafia? Let's go, Buffalo. Rich G. Everyone say, hey, what up? Matt Breida. That was the one they got rid of. Thank you, Calvin and Tony. Everyone say what's up to Rich G in the comment section. Rich, thank you for your $5 donation. Again, guys, if I'm missing your chats, if there's something you want to say that you want to be read, these super chats will get read out first. First preference. So again, thank you so much, Rich, for the $5 donation. And you guys know that this all goes back to the channel. All goes back to giving you guys the best Buffalo sports, Buffalo Bills coverage that I can. But yeah, the San Francisco 49ers already got rid of Matt Breida, so maybe that means that they asked for a little bit more from Raheem Mostert. Interesting to me that Mostert would ask for a trade after they got rid of Matt Breida, right? Because you figure if they got rid of Matt Breida, Mostert's numbers should start going up. So you would think Mostert would want that. So maybe playing second fiddle isn't what Mostert's concerned about. So that leads to believe something might be going on with the San Francisco organization. I don't want to speculate, but if they already got rid of a running back, your carries are going to go up, so you're going to have more chances to impress. Maybe something's going on there that we're not quite sure of. But again, that's not my business. I don't know. But again, that might be something the Buffalo Bills would consider. But if San Fran's price tag's too high, Brandon Beane's just going to walk away. And that's what one of the things I love about Brandon Beane. Kind of comes in, Njoku would be great in goal line situations. He's got great hands and did well for Cleveland in that area. Yeah, and again, talk about Dawson Knox, talk about Njoku, and think about Njoku or Knox on the same side of the field as a Cole Beasley getting open. Right, you talk about getting open. You talk about maybe setting a pick play for Beasley. One of these two big guys just run straight up and maybe not, obviously not intentionally, and unintentionally, intentionally pick whoever is guarding Cole Beasley. Or again, vice versa, you have Cole Beasley come inside, linebacker has to focus on Beasley, all of a sudden you see Njoku or Knox just open in the end zone, have maybe a mismatch against a cornerback where you can just kind of, or a safety I should say, where you can just throw it high in the air and have those hands come down and get it, box out, kind of like in basketball. You talk about tight ends who used to play basketball, and how important that could be when it comes to the tight end position, just being able to box the smaller guy, the smaller safety out, and able to make that catch with those hands. Maybe plan on running him into the ground. It says, yeah, maybe talking about Mostert. Mostert didn't like the idea of getting 250 plus carries in a season, so he was like, no, get me out of here before I lose my legs. So we'll see what happens. But again, I'm not positive. I mean, I don't think at all. I'm not convinced, I should say, that the Buffalo Bills will trade for Njoku or Mostert, but we do know that they both demanded a trade. They both demanded a trade, Mostert from the 49ers, Njoku from the Cleveland Browns. Again, as someone mentioned earlier, we know that O.J. Howard might still be available from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, they have three prominent tight ends, but we'll definitely see what happens, man. We'll see what's going on with these two guys as far as other news currently surrounding the NFL. I don't know if you guys heard this today or not, but apparently due to the pandemic, the NFL is trying to get rid of the swapping of jerseys this season. We've seen Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson come out and speak against that, or maybe not against it, but just think of it as crazy, and I kind of agree with them. Like it's a jersey, you're already kind of sharing everything else, right? You're on a football field sweating, even though, and again, you have to think about how a virus spreads, right? So the defense makes a play. Russell Wilson goes up and whoever made the play goes up and hits him on the helmet, says, good job. Well, there's contact there, right? Contact can lead to the transferring of such viruses, and then he goes on offense. He plays against the other team's defense. He gets sacked or gets hit by one of the defensive players, taps him on the helmet real quick. Well, that could transfer as well, and then that guy goes back to his sideline. It's all transferring. Like, that's how a virus works. That's how germs work, I have a 2-year-old son who watch Bubble Guppies. It explains it on there, so come on, understand it, people. But I just don't know how important it is that they don't swap jerseys after a game. I just don't understand how that would be the big bugaboo. I understand it gives a good appearance maybe, and that you want to limit contact as much as possible. Is it a big deal to me? No, because there are other ways to show that you respect someone's game. Mail them the jersey, right? Like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Give them a call and say good game. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But that's something that's recent news in the NFL. Well, like I talked about earlier, we all saw the comments from Stephon Diggs about how he's just still uncomfortable. He didn't say he wasn't going to play. We see in Major League Baseball all these players opting out. We see in the NBA some of these players opting out. I haven't heard anything about the NHL, surprisingly enough. So you do have to start wondering, will any of these NFL players opt out? I personally don't think so, but you never know with what's going on in this world. So you saw Stephon Diggs make some comments. Who's here that thought that one? I have no idea. Jersey Gate coming. Belichick will have his players hand out tainted jerseys. Can't trust him. Do I think that Tyrell Dodson is going to back up Tremaine Edmonds? Trying to think of the linebacker position overall. You're talking about some of the guys that we got during the off season. I'm still unsure about the tight end position. Give me 1 second here. Let's look it up. Look it up. Who are my options here? So Tom Makovich is a special teams guy, so we're not worried about him. Matt Milano on the outside, AJ Klein on the outside, Voshon Joseph on the outside as well. So who's there to back up Tremaine Edmonds? Probably be Tyrell Dodson. Sorry about that. Corey Thompson, might be an option as well. But yeah, no, I think Tyrell Dodson would be the best bet of all the linebackers I'm looking at. One of our commenters did mention earlier that they wouldn't be surprised if the Buffalo Bills added another linebacker late. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I think right now Tyrell Dodson would be your best option to back up Tremaine Edmonds for that second tight end spot. I want us to sweep the AFC teams this year, especially New England. Before the Cam Newton trade, I was pretty confident we could sweep the AFC East teams. I'm still, I think we can beat the Jets both times. I'm confident in that one. I think that we could beat Miami both times. Remember, Josh Allen's 5-1 against the Dolphins so far in his career. 5-1. He's a Charles Clay drop in the back of the end zone, and by the way, he's wide open from being 6-0. So AFC East. Yeah, I got what you meant, Rich. I got what you meant. I don't think we're going to sweep the AFC. It would be sweet, but that would include beating Kansas City, beating Pittsburgh again, and beating Tennessee, I believe it was, and also beating the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Raiders. I would love it. And again, I looked at our schedule, and I say there's not a single team we can't beat, right? I think we can beat every single team on our schedule. I just don't, that's not me saying we're going to run the table. We're going to lose a couple in there. Hopefully no more than a couple. Hopefully just 2. But we're going to lose a couple in there. It's just hard for me to see where they're going to be because, again, I think we can beat every single team that we're going up against. So we'll see what happens with the schedule. And again, we don't know if the schedule is going to change at all due to everything going on. But again, as long as there's football, guys, that's what I'm excited about. Now, I want to let you guys know. I won't tell you what it is yet because there's no need to get you guys all excited if it's not going to happen. I do have a plan if for some reason games get canceled. If for some reason games get canceled, you still want to tune in right here on Believers Talk every Sunday. During the season, both myself, #sports, we live stream the games for you right here live, right? So if it's not me, Mario and Paul have it #sports. If not them, it's me right here. So you want to make sure you check those out. Join the conversation, especially this year. No fans in the stands, or at least limited numbers of fans in the stands. Watch it here. Right? Watch it here. I'll do the live play-by-play and reaction. Turn on your TV so you can see the game, and then you can join the conversation. You can talk with Calvin. You can talk with Tony. You can talk with James. You can talk with Rich. You can talk to some of the other guys. Jack Patrick, he'll come in here from Hawaii and laugh at us all as we're sitting here in cold fall weather, and he's like, it's Hawaii. I have a mojito. I'm at the beach. I'm watching the game. I'm listening to Believers Talk. So, but join us. It's a good time. So make sure you do that. Again, if you haven't already hit that thumbs up button, hit that thumbs up button. And again, thank you guys so much for all the support throughout the, we're going on 2.5, 3 years now of me doing this channel. I just really appreciate all of the support that I've had from you guys throughout the years. Obviously my buddies, my brothers from #sports, Mario and Paul, always appreciate what they have contributed to this channel. If you guys are not joining the #Nation, make sure you go over there, check them out. Always a good time. Hang out with them, do some collabs with them all the time, mostly on their channel, because I have no idea how to do collabs here. Really, I don't. I have no idea what I'm doing most of the time, as you guys have probably learned over the years, but it's always been a blast. So again, thank you guys for joining me on this Thursday night edition of Believers Talk. Again, if you ask me, I don't think the Buffalo Bills would pull the trigger for either one of these guys, just because I think losing that 4th-round pick already in 2021 with the Stephon Diggs trade really limits us as far as what draft picks we can give up. And I just don't know exactly what we're willing to give up. I do know we have some offensive line help, so maybe if the Cleveland Browns are looking for offensive linemen, that could come into effect. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll get a fourth round back. Maybe that's something. Maybe trade a player and the third round pick for Njoku and a fourth round pick. Something like that for Njoku. As far as Raheem Mostert is concerned, I think would have to include TJ Yeldon in the deal. I think our running back room would be a little too crowded if you had all four of them there. I love the idea of adding playmakers. I always like the idea of adding playmakers as long as it fits. And I think Brandon Beane's the same way. So we'll see what happened. Thanks a lot, James Snee. I really do appreciate it, guys. I do work hard. I have no idea why I didn't do this with somebody else. I tried, had someone help me out here, but I appreciate it. I enjoyed doing it. I'd rather be where else would you rather be but right here, right now, right? And that holds true for me right now. So again, thank you guys for joining me on this edition of Believers Talk, this Thursday night edition. Make sure you join me every Thursday night during the off season at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time as we go live to talk Buffalo Bills football. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Join me tomorrow as we continue my Hall of Fame series looking at Joe DeLamalore, as we talk about the Hall of Famers in Buffalo Bills history, some Buffalo Bills greats. You guys are great. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.